Jason Voorhees is an excellent example of a strange yet timeless monster. From the brutal manner in which he kills, his choice in attire, to the very depth of his character. Jason will kill without hesitation, but it's more than just murder for murder's sake. Understanding his life can somewhat humanize him. The horror that surrounds this figure can be seen through the torment that clung to him as a child and followed him still after death. Jason's need to kill is reinforced by the memory of his mother, Pamela Voorhees, who, while not sharing his immortality, is still the closest person to him, even in death. Jason even went as far as building a shrine to her, using her very remains as a centerpiece, when it was discovered he had initially survived his drowning, and made his makeshift home in the woods around Crystal Lake. Pamela was the only person in his life to give him any affection, whereas others treated him as a source of ridicule and isolation. Here we can see that Jason's motivations come from three places: love, anger, and fear. He loves his mother, as she was the only one to make him feel safe. He hates everyone else, as they are a reminder of his suffering. And what's more, he's afraid that they are still trying to hurt him. To all appearances, Jason Voorhees is simply an urban legend. Kept alive by those who attend Camp Crystal Lake, the story of Jason Voorhees is designed to scare visitors to the camp. The zombie who lives within the water and attacks unsuspecting campers. After all, what's a campout without a good ghost story? But, as with many urban legends, this tale rings of some truth, and is built on the tragic death of a past camper, Jason Voorhees. A young boy whose mother brought him to the same camp in which she worked, in the hopes that he may find some friends, and make some good memories. However, life is rarely so kind, and Jason was subject to further bullying, leading to his drowning in the waters of Camp Crystal Lake, his memory thereafter kept alive by the fiction of his return as a vengeful spirit, who seeks to harm all those who come to camp. Ultimately, there is more to the making of Jason than simply a giant zombie with an attraction to masks. Rather, there are reflections of Jason Voorhees in the golem from Jewish mythology, a great heavy-footed statue, strong and seemingly unstoppable. The most famous story is of Rabbi Lowe, who was said to have created the Golem of Prague. It was a creature that was formed from clay and given life through mystic powers to protect the Jewish citizens living in the ghettos of Prague from anti-Semitic attacks. Variations of the story have the golem inflicting a cycle of murder in between long periods of slumber before reappearing. Jason Voorhees was not created from clay, but was given life from his mother, although it is mystic powers that returned him from death to carry out his purpose, to punish those who harmed him and Pamela, and ensure that no one will return to cause further pain. Jason will commit as many acts of murder as he can before taking his rest, whether it be from carrying out his terrible revenge, or from the onslaught of attacks by those he sought to kill, finally incapacitating him. This golem will kill and rest until he is needed again. What's more is that there may be elements of occultism within Jason's story. A child born to an unmarried woman was once considered an act of witchcraft and was subject to persecution. In the case of Jason Voorhees, he was persecuted and led to death by an angry and fearful mob, that being the children of Camp Crystal Lake. The witch, this being Pamela Voorhees, then set about inflicting her terrible revenge on those who had murdered her child. After taking several lives, which could be interpreted as a blood sacrifice, and her own subsequent death, this being the blood tied to Jason, the ritual was complete. Jason rose from his grave, greater and more powerful than ever. The little boy was gone, and something far darker had returned in his place. The death of innocence and the birth of a monster. Jason's most iconic weapon is a machete, a basic tool made for slashing. Added with his inhuman strength, this can end his victims swiftly. However, Jason has been shown to use a variety of methods to kill, from a pickaxe, a weed trimmer, and even a sleeping bag. Jason will use anything and everything at his disposal to punish those who wander too close, even if it means crushing them with his bare hands. It's both primal and savage to its very core. Further to this is his iconic mask, which is used to both instill fear in his victims and conceal his face, the source of his ridicule. Whether Jason Voorhees truly is a vengeful zombie, bent on killing those who would cause harm to himself and his mother, or the legacy of a poor child tormented for his appearance and robbed of life, his memory mythologized by dark and twisted rumors, we can be sure of one thing. There is only one person in his life that showed him any degree of compassion, and she was taken away from him. He will not forget, he will not forgive, and he will not stop.